This episode brought to you by Nicholson Realty 2.0, Raven Choate Robinson Funeral Home, Chuck Sewer Drain and Plumbing.
Welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Conrad. Let's go.
I'm Ted. It's time to rock and roll.
And you know we had to bring in Grant Shouse.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing, brother?
You know, it's been interesting since I was last here.
Yeah.
A lot of things have transpired, some good things, a lot of good things, and I'm happy to be here, and we're going to talk some ball.
Yeah. What good thing? Well, let's talk about the good things you're talking about here.
Well, I since we last talked on that Saturday in 2023, I've gotten better at, or I would say, I don't know about better, but at least hang on, the pausing's like throwing me off. When I stop talking and it like pauses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say I've expanded more my horizons in broadcasting and getting into some journalism as well. Around January of 2024, I came up with an idea to create kind of like a blog, like a website. Mm-hmm. And it's called shousehoops.com, and been able to get on there and share some basketball stories and go to games and cover games throughout the state and at the high school and the college level. And that's been really fun. I met some great people through it, made many connections, and it's fun. I honestly, I don't get to do as much with it as I'd like to, because I like to keep the broadcasting and the journalism side two separate things.
Right.
They're in their own department. So when I'm calling a game, I won't typically, actually, I haven't done like a story on the game, because I'm so busy calling the game, I don't even know what I'm going to write down.
Right.
You know? And so I'll go out of my way when I have an off night, which is sometimes rare, like during basketball season, to go to a game, travel, go to a game, whether I've done a lot of boys games. If I go to a girls game, it's a good girls game. You know, it's top teams playing each other. And I'm trying to see every gym in the state.
That's cool.
You know, I'm at 92 gyms. 92 gyms that have high school basketball played in them. And I'm counting the Hoosier gym in Knightstown, where the movie Hoosiers was, and I'm also counting Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Yep.
Because I've seen high school basketball in those gyms.
I like that.
I've been the farthest south I've been is to Bloomington South.
Okay.
The farthest north I've been is to, I think, Michigan City.
Wow.
My goal last year was to hit the 100 gym mark, and I didn't get there. The hoop season got so busy. So whenever we have a team that's playing in a gym that I haven't been to, I'm the first one to tell Andy that I want to do that one.
Right.
I want to go to it. So that's the goals I've set out for myself. And then I started kind of collabing with Greg Mengelt, the Central Indiana Sports Report. That guy's awesome.
We've had him on.
What he does is awesome.
Yep.
And I don't think you guys would take this the wrong way, but it's a little different than Garage Talk, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I think he knows that, and you guys know that.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really cool to get on there, and we do a segment every week talking IU sports, and he's a great dude, and we've gotten to share a lot of news, and it's fun. It's you know, it's kind of like being a beat reporter for it a little bit on that platform.
Right.
And he's given me an opportunity to do that, and so he's just been awesome about it.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about life in the booth, man. The broadcaster's view of the CIC with Grant Shouse, man. What sets Friday nights in the CIC apart from other regions in Indiana?
That's a good question. And every year I order this Hoosier football digest called the Indiana Football Digest.
Okay.
It has all the teams in the state. And I just got it in the mail today. Like 2 hours ago, I opened it out of the package. And I was sitting there and I was flipping through and I was looking at our teams, Oak Hill, Mississinawa, Eastbrook, all them. And you read a little bit of it and you learn some things you didn't know that have changed. You know, maybe it's a change on a coaching staff or whatever it might be. But that book to me, especially in like the first couple weeks of the season, are very valuable to me because it's the only information you have on the season
for
so
the
far.
upcoming season. Yeah.
And once you get to about week 3, 4, and 5, you kind of don't need that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You've already seen a lot of the teams you're doing, so you already know. But last year was just such a great year in the conference, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's stacked. I mean, you had great teams. You had Alexandria, who was solid. Of course, Mississinawa, Madison, Grant, which were the 2 top teams. Eastbrook's always they're always just, they're going to be good. But when you sit there and you're like, man, like, they're going to have a down year this year. No.
No.
It's funny. I think other teams make plans for Eastbrook and Jeff Adamson and them laugh at them because they're always sneaky good and they always I feel like don't start the season maybe as well as they'd like to, and then they finish strong.
Yep.
And that tells me a few things, and one of them is that's really good coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that those kids are responding to that good coaching.
Yep.
Because it may not go the way you want it to go. I mean, think about it. Like, think back to when you guys were in school, even in the school year. Mm-hmm. By the end of the first semester, you're like, man, I can't believe at the beginning of the school year we were doing this in one class or whatever it may be. And I think that's the same for the sports season. As the year goes on, you learn more, you get more under your belt, but you have to be consistent about it. And Eastbrook's always really consistent, I feel like.
Constantly reloading.
Always had.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And then as for Mississinawa, with a new coach, but a guy that has been there and knows these kids and these kids know him, I think that's really important is to hire guys that have been, promote from within your staff.
Right.
Because these kids don't want to get, they don't want to learn a new coach.
Exactly.
They want a familiar face. I mean, let's face it. It's different at the college level. Mm-hmm. It's hard to promote from within in the college level, even in any sport. But if you can promote from within in the high school level, not just football, but again, any sports, I think it really can pay dividends because it's a familiar face. I mean, it's human nature.
Yeah.
You respond better to familiar faces, and you're more comfortable around them, and you immediately want to make things comfortable for these kids and still be able to win. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. My opinion, it's a level of consistency that the kids are used to, and kids love consistency. Favorite atmosphere, man, here in Grant County. What's your favorite press box atmosphere?
In terms of press box,
yeah,
I can probably name more press boxes I don't like compared to the ones I do like. Every press box is unique. Yep. The one that doesn't look appealing, but then when you get in it, it actually is pretty good, is Marion's. I hate to tell you guys this. I don't like Mississinawa. I don't, just from where we sit. I've actually only done one football game there. I think I've done 2 soccer, unfortunately. But you sit in the second level in the press box, so already you're farther away, and then the door right in the middle of the press box can obstruct your view.
Right.
And that's just, that's no one's fault. That's just, that's how it had to be built. It was, it's hard to then go in and reconstruct that thing.
Right.
But, but I'll say this, I don't like Oak Hills. Too small, man. Like, it can get crammed in there on Friday nights. Yep. The 2 I really like the most are Eastbrooks and Madison Grants, especially just in the county.
Okay.
I like those. Going out of the county, I really like Alexandria's, and I like Frankton's because Frankton's is not very elevated. So you almost feel like, you don't feel like you're level with the playing surface, but you're just high enough to where you can see good.
You're high enough where the helmets of the kids on the sideline are.
Yeah. You can still see the field.
Right. Yep.
But I mean, there's quite a few that I don't like compared to what I do like, and it's just me, and you have to make do with a lot of it.
Right.
So you're in the press box. Last year, what was the most electric game you called? What was the most electric one that you were in the press box calling last year?
There were two, and they both involved funny enough, they both involved Eastbrook and Alexandria.
Okay.
Phenomenal game. Came down to the last few plays where Eastbrook got a stop on a 2-point. Eastbrook had taken the lead, and then Alexandria marches down the field with literally a 2-minute drill. They marched down the field and ended up scoring. In the midst of this happening, an official goes down and is hurt. And like I don't know what happened. I didn't see what happened. Like, but your first thought was when the dude was laying on the ground, you're like, oh my God, like this dude had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And so you have no idea how to react to it. And you're trying to keep calm because it's like there's just this phenomenal play that happened and they're back in the game. Well, they go for 2 to try and win the game. They don't want to play for overtime. They go for 2. And Eastbrook ends up stopping them on a 2-point conversion. They get the ball back and they take a knee, and they ended up winning the game. That one was awesome. That one we walked away from. Me and my partner Kevin Helfrich, we walked away from. It's gonna be really tough to top that game. And then we got to week 9, and it's Oak Hill Eastbrook, and kind of the same situation where Oak Hill has to go down the field, and they're inside the 5-yard line, and they get one more play off, and they get into the end zone as time is expiring. There's no time on the clock, and they won the game. And that was, that was probably the best game I've ever called. And for your alma mater to do it, I mean, you're not playing. I probably said this on here the last time. You're not playing favorites,
Right.
But like, you also like can't help when it's your school that you went to,
Yep.
and it's the kids it's the guys on the staff too that I had as teachers and were administrators. It's hard not to then feel sentimental about them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's not that I like Oak Hill more, but it just. That game was more special because it was, and it didn't matter if they were playing Eastbrook.
Right.
I mean, they could have been playing, Bishop Sycamore. I mean, you can pick a school. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. It would have been like that either way.
Well,
So.
and that's kind of like, say you were calling a game that you have no affiliation with either team, but an exciting game like that.
I still would have reacted that way.
Yeah, and your reaction is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
That excitement it comes out in a different way.
That's why I like doing teams that you're not really familiar with. And like that's why I like doing our network schools. Like it's rare for me to do it's not that rare, but when we have county versus county teams playing, typically Andy will do the game because it's the county versus county.
Right.
And that's fine.
Right.
But that particular week, because Oak Hill and Eastbrook were playing each other, but Mississinawa and Madison Grant were playing each other, that's for the conference championship, so he wanted to do that game. And I said, well, I'm doing the Oak Hill Eastbrook game then. And so when it's two schools playing each other like that, there's a little more excitement. I mean, it's a rivalry game. Right. You're juiced up. It's the last week of the regular season, and these teams are playing for something. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. How do you think the role of play-by-play guys evolved with live streaming now?
Oh, that's a good question. And honestly, I've never thought about that.
Live streaming's kind of really changed the game.
It has, and I'm not going to say I prefer radio over TV because let's face it, you'd rather watch a game than listen to it, right?
Yeah. So
given the opportunity for us, because sometimes...
Well, it depends on who's calling the game on TV.
That's true. There's some guys I don't like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that I do like, that I like watching them on TV.
Yeah, there's some guys that are hard to listen to.
There are.
Well,
And-
there's times I mute the TV and turn the radio on. I'll watch it,
I've
but
done that.
That's
before.
hard for
Yeah.
that's hard for me to do because sometimes the TV's ahead of the
Right,
broadcast, or the
right.
broadcast is ahead of the TV, and that's hard for me to deal with. But for us on the Action Sports Network, I wouldn't say rarely, just depends on where you're at, but at Oak Hill and sometimes, not every time, but sometimes at Mrs. Centerwall, we will plug our audio into the video, which is so cool for me at least, because then I get to go back and listen to it. I can listen to it anyways, but then I can go back and watch it and also hear what I'm saying.
right.
So it's cool. I really wish that this is going to be a controversial take, but I really wish at some point we can not only have the online audio, which is a genius idea, by the way. People don't realize how genius that is, because you can get it wherever. It's not like your radio tower. You can hear our network anywhere in the world as long as you have internet. But I really hope one day we can go to actual video streaming. But that's so hard because that means you have to pay more people to run your cameras.
Right.
And you have to learn more equipment. Our equipment, when we set it up, for guys that are setting it up for the first time, can look intimidating. But once you really get to know it, it's so easy. It's really the easiest thing. I mean, even me looking at your guys' board, like, to me at first that looks intimidating. But you guys have dealt with that, and you've done it so many times that that's nothing for you guys. But for me, looking at it for the first time, I wouldn't even begin to know what to do. But as soon as I am able to do it more, and it's natural, I mean, it becomes a routine thing. You just start to learn it. And then there's some guys that we have, and not naming names, that still don't know how to use it. And they've been doing it for, almost 2 years. And that's okay. I mean, you learn at your own pace, but at some point it's like, dude, you can't be calling or texting me or texting Andy
Well, you're calling a game.
or whatever, and we're getting ready to call a game, and I'm getting ready to go on the air for a football game at 7 o'clock, and you're texting me or Andy or even my own dad's done it at 6 o'clock or 6:30. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, you should have gotten there early, and
Yeah.
you should have figured it out. So the earliest I've been to a game is one time I went there to Madison Grant. I can't remember who they were playing. But I got there to Madison Grant at 4 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. The press box is unlocked. So I went up there and I set my stuff up, and there's no one there. Maybe the AD was there. I don't even. Some other people were there, but it's almost like a peaceful thing.
Yeah.
Because I'll go down on the field or I'll walk the track a couple times or whatever, just listen to music, kind of clear your head and get ready for the game. I mean, I know it's not we're not calling the NFL, we're not calling a big time college football game, but this is something that you build up for all week.
Yep.
And so you're in your own head all week thinking of, just like how the coaches and players are, okay, well, what if this goes wrong with the equipment and I got to figure out how to fix it? Well, it's better for me to get there at 4 o'clock and figure it out by 5 o'clock than get there at 5:30 and then have a little bit of amount of time to get it figured out. Because even still, not all the time, but even still sometimes, I'll have a brain fart and I'll call Andy and be like, I can't hear myself. And he'll be like, well, is this, and this check? And I'm like, no, it's not. You're right. So let me click that button there, and it works. So, but I like getting there early, even for basketball. Like, I'll get there an hour before the JV, but football's different. Like, I love basketball. It's my first love, but football just has a different feeling in the air because all week and the weather's nice, and most of the time the weather's nice, and you can put more into your preparation for football than really any other sport.
Right. You have a little bit more time to prepare. But it's just one game a week during football season.
And this year I am, because of our sister station in Wabash, they need someone to do their coaches show every week. So I'm going to be taping all their coaches every week, and it'll be on Wednesday nights at 6 o'clock on 105.9 and on our website.
Okay.
And you can hear that anywhere. So I'll be doing that, and that's the first time I've ever done anything like that.
105.9 The Bash.
105.9 The Bash, yep.
What's the name of your show?
I honestly don't know. It wasn't my idea to do it. He asked me the other day if I wanted to do it, and usually it takes me a while to think. And so when he asked me about 10 seconds later, I said I'd do it. And I've never done anything like that before, but I've conducted interviews, and I've done interviews with I've done them with Greg, and that honestly helps a lot. Doing them with Greg, with him being there, and we interview a coach, or doing pregame interviews with our coaches before games.
Right.
That helps a lot. But usually the interviews only can stretch from, especially in a pregame, my goal is to have them for about 2.5 minutes. Well, for this show every week, I got to be able to stretch it to about 10 to 12 minutes every week.
Uh-huh.
And, what am I supposed to do if one of these teams is not having a great year? Well, what am I supposed to ask the coach? And what's he going to want to talk about? I mean, he's not going to want to talk about how bad the season's going.
Right.
And I've heard coaches say that to me, like, I hate doing these kind of interviews because we're not very good. I'm not saying who, but they're like, I hate doing these interviews because we're not very good, and quite frankly, I just don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, I get it. And there's some that will openly be like that to you, and then there's others that are like that, but they don't tell you, and so they take it out on you.
Right.
And that is what it is.
Yeah.
But at the end of the
but that
day,
makes
you're
for
going
good
to make
listening
more
right
enemies
there.
than you are friends.
Yeah, but that makes for good listening. So if I need to be somebody's punching bag, go
True.
ahead.
That's true. I mean, but some have learned, and some have learned to be really good at it and get good at it. Like the Oak Hill girls basketball coach, Carrie Barkham, who's also the volleyball coach, 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, when we started doing this, just was terrible. And she can take this because it's true, and we've even talked about it. She was not very good at interviews and would openly be nervous about it. And as the years have gone on, she's gotten really good at them, and she's gotten better. And it's because, first of all, she was never interviewed.
Right.
And it was really the first time of being a head coach. So as time goes on, you naturally get good at those things, and you get used to them. And having familiar faces, I think it goes back to the consistency we talked about earlier and the comfortability. Like, people are more comfortable and are more open talking to people that they know.
Right.
Some of them talk to anyone. Like, I can talk to anyone. But some of these coaches have a hard time doing that. Some of them it just depends on the personality.
Well, and then, like, speaking of that, like on the professional sports now, they're doing an interview between
Every day.
quarters or at halftime or during the game.
Yeah.
Them coaches don't want to do that.
I agree, and I disagree with that, because I think that makes for good television, especially like during March Madness in the NCAA tournament. Those coaches doing that provide so much insight. They provide more insight than they think they do during a game, like during a timeout. And I've seen people on Facebook complain about, oh, just let them coach the team. Like, dude, we're taking a 4-minute timeout. This interview's taking 30 seconds.
True.
And even when there's not an interview, the coaches are huddled up in their little huddle talking about what they want to talk about for most of the timeout.
Right.
So it is what it is. And, like, I think it's funny. Like, right now, the Big Ten Media Days are going on.
Right.
Today was the first day, and Kurt Signetti at Indiana was up there talking with the media, and and it's funny to watch because he hates them. He hates doing it. You can tell he hates doing interviews, and just doesn't particularly enjoy it. And it cracked me up because before the last question, you can see him like visibly looking at his watch. and honestly, if I was one of the media in the audience and I saw that, I'd be like, what a douche. This guy is such a turd. But he's my ball coach, and so I like it. I think it's funny. But, you know, a guy like him who came from, like, I'm using him as an example just because I followed it. But he's coming, you know, he literally worked his way up at the small college level. You're not getting much to really any media coverage. Mm-hmm. And as he's gotten and stepped up the ladder and now gotten to Indiana, and then you do what you do at Indiana, which was take them as one of the worst teams in the country and then take them to the playoffs, people want to talk to you. Mm-hmm. People want to talk about it. And that's when you get the passive-aggressive comments like, Google me, and today we want to take the SEC approach to our scheduling by not scheduling very good teams in our non-conference. And that's when you get people like him lashing out at reporters and that kind of stuff because they, quite frankly, don't want to talk, and so they just get mad. And they just tell you what's on their mind, and they really don't care. They don't have a filter. And some of it's good, some of it's bad, but that kind of stuff, and he said it, you know, that's the entertainment business. Sports is a huge entertainment business, whether people want to accept that or not. People don't really realize that, of how big of an entertainment industry it is. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, and it's unbelievable that sports can do that. Not just professional or college sports, but even high school sports.
Oh, yeah.
It's entertainment.
It is. Well, let's talk to CIC real quick.
Please.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's just go with our county schools right now.
Okay.
Madison Grant, Oak Hill, Eastbrook, Mississippi. Who's reloading and who's rebuilding?
I think Eastbrook's. I really think all of them are going to be about how they were last year, and I hope I'm right. I think they're all going to be competitive. I think it's wide open because you have these good coaches, and you have a school like Madison Grant that, or like even with Madison Grant, for example, that's not returning, I don't think as much as maybe some of the other schools are. Even Oak Hill's like not returning a lot of the personnel they had, but those guys played under the really good guys in front of them, right, and they naturally learn. Mm-hmm. And I've heard Coach Osmond talk about that, and I read in that magazine the day that I got that injuries have plagued teams like Oak Hill the last few years, and so they got to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing for them, is to stay healthy. I think for Mississippi is, I think the biggest thing is, can you continue to do what you do? Can you continue to do what you do even under a new coach? And it's going to be, I would imagine, the same kind of system with the new coach compared to Coach Burrish. For Madison Grant, it's just, I don't know how to word this. I think it goes back to staying consistent. Mm-hmm. Like they've been on the rise the last few years, and they've surprised some people because of the personnel they had. Well, some of that personnel's gone. Mm-hmm. So you have to find guys to fill those roles, and they are, and they will, and they're going to be good again. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't be shocked if they're not, and I hope I'm right, but I would not be at all shocked if they're not undefeated with Mississippi again in Week 9, trying to go for a conference championship. And then Eastbrook, like we said earlier, like they surprise some people because they're coached well. It's just it's shocking how they do that every single year. It's kind of crazy how, like, somehow in this small county with some of these small schools, Mississippi being the biggest of the four, that not just in football but across all sports, we've found so many good coaches to lead these guys, and coaches that keep those guys consistent. Mm-hmm. So I think the county's wide open. I mean, I think all four teams can shock some people, and I hope they do. It makes for some entertaining games on Friday night, especially when those teams play each other.
Yeah, for sure. And you know Madison Grant, they're always going to have some horses. They're going to have some big boys.
It's because of it being such a small school. They don't have soccer,
Right.
so they don't have that sport to compete with. Like the other three schools, kind of somewhat have to. I don't know about. Like there may be one school, and I don't know any particular that have to compete with soccer more, and compete with cross country more.
Right.
Maybe it's Oak Hill. Maybe it's Mississinawa. I have no idea. But Madison Grant doesn't have that soccer program. And that's one of the things I asked Brady Turner last year. I think it was off the air. We were just talking. I said, so how come Madison Grant doesn't have turf? And he goes, because if we had turf, then we'd have to have a soccer team, and that'd take away guys from our football team. And he's 100% right. I think it really would. And so they do a good job and I think it also has to do with they do a good job at their strength and conditioning program.
Yeah.
You can tell a lot about a team by their strength and conditioning program.
Yep.
Because around this time, before they kind of go into the first week of practice, you're in the weight room all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're in the weight room almost more than you're on the field.
Right. Yep.
At this point in where we're recording this in late July, you're in the weight room more than you're on the
Oh,
field.
for sure. And but if you look at Eastbrook, they've got Bodie Howe coming back.
Yeah.
They've got this will be his, fourth year starting as varsity quarterback.
Feels like he's been there for forever.
Yeah. Mississinawa's got to replace a guy that's playing for Purdue right now,
Yeah.
Jackson Ott. So you can never count out Bud Osmond's teams. I mean, that's
Yeah.
you can't. How about Blackford and Elwood? Are we sleeping on them? Now, there was a couple weeks ago, they were not even sure that Elwood was going to have a team.
Really? I didn't know that. And
They don't have enough people coming out.
that's so sad, man.
It is.
Like, especially because they were at one time they were really
They
good.
were, yeah, back in my day.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it's so sad to see that, and I hate to hear that because their AD Ryan Van Skyek has done such a great job.
Yes, he has.
At rallying around those kids.
Yep.
And
The community.
like they've done almost a complete 180 from before he got there, because you had administration and you had people in the community that don't care, and there's some that still don't, but he's gotten a lot of people to start caring.
Sure has.
And it's so crazy that, like, you wish there were more ADs like that. And you wish that there were more ADs at schools like Elwood that can do that. So I hope they're able to field a team. I would imagine they will be. But
Hope so.
I don't necessarily think you're sleeping on Elwood and Blackford. I think that, and this is no disrespect to them, and I don't want this to be bulletin board material, but I just don't think that they're going to be able to compete at the level that Mississinawa and Eastbrook and Madison Grant are going to be at. They're just not, and that's unfortunate. So when Elwood plays teams like Southern Wells and Blackford plays teams that are probably in their tier and on their level, and they win those games, you love it.
Right.
I mean, you love to see it, because like when Elwood in the last few years has played a team like Southern Wells, or when they played Blackford a few years ago in the CIC day there at IWU, them winning those games, I mean, that's their Super Bowl.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, and that just means so much, and it's so cool to see when that kind of stuff happens. When I was at the game, I was in the press box there at IWU when Elwood beat Blackford in like the 10 a.m. game there at Indiana Wesleyan. There's not a whole lot of people there. People start coming in for the second game, but there's not a whole lot of people there. And that honestly was a really competitive game because it was between two bottom-tier teams. And so to see a team like Elwood win that game and compete the way they did, and you're watching them, you're like, I can't believe these guys have lost that many games in a row.
Right.
Because they're juiced up, because they know it's a game they can win.
Yep.
And I know a few years ago when they played Southern, it may have been that same year in 2024. Or, no, it was 2023.
23, yeah.
2023, they lost to Southern Wells at home. And I know that they were very upset after the game. They were very distraught after the game. And that just, that just breaks your heart.
Yeah, you feel for him.
Yeah, it's just it's the natural reaction there, and so I don't want to say you're sleeping on them because you want to see them succeed, but the bottom line is they're just probably not going to be very good.
Right. Well,
I hate to say it.
Well, I agree. I understand. So we've talked about all the CIC teams except for Alexandria and Frankton.
Yeah.
How are they going to stack up this year?
I think Alexandria is going to be good. I really do, and that's one of the new teams that we are adding to our network, so we're going to be doing all of their games.
Okay.
We're trying to get Frankton and Elwood, but it just doesn't look like at this point in time for the football season that's going to happen. But we do have Alexandria added for this next year, which is awesome, and it's because they're going to be a good team. I mean, they're going to be a solid team, and they're very well coached. They're probably one of my personal favorite teams to do because of how they run their offense. Mm-hmm. They throw.
Yeah.
They do. They kind of have the Mike Leach air raid attack, which when you're doing high school games with teams that run, it's like can something exciting happen?
It's pretty
you know
monotonous.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's going to be a run play. So when Alexandria can throw it all over the field, those games are the most entertaining.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to doing their games this year. I know that I have them week 2 at Sheridan, which will be fun. But they're going to be a good team. As for Frankton, they got a new coach in Marty Wells, who
used to coach at Elwood.
and coached at Madison Grant.
Madison Grant as well.
He's coached for a long time.
Yes.
And I really like that hire. He's a good dude, and he was the AD at Elwood before Ryan Van Skyok. And people may not know this, but he coached the state's all-time rushing leader, Sammy Morales.
Yep.
So the guy knows how to coach the game. He's a defensive-minded coach. He was the defensive coordinator there at Frankton. I did a game last year, Madison Grant at Frankton, in what was a literal monsoon. Like, no joke, it was raining from the remnants of a hurricane that had come through south, and it kind of was breaking up, but it was still it literally poured rain the whole weekend. And it was very wet that night. Thankfully, we were in that warm press box. And this is in, I think, late September. Marty Wells, and see, at Frankton's press box, they don't have, like, where you can go upstairs, or they don't have, like, separate booths. You're on the roof, so you're getting drenched.
Oh, my.
But he was decked out in head to toe in, like, neon. Like, like the color of the tennis ball.
Wow.
So that way they can see him up there so he can do these signals or whatever they're doing. I thought that was really cool. And that's something I don't think I've ever seen before. And it was literally like a construction suit. I mean, it was a neon yellow construction suit from head to toe, so that way you could identify him. But that also is good coaching, because I don't know of very many coaches that would think to do that. You know,
that's true, and that's I know we do it different. We've got 2 different coaches signaling the plays.
Because you gotta have
the players know who to look at.
Because you gotta have your real signaler, and then you gotta have your dummy signaler.
Yeah. So, all right, I got one more here in this segment. Is there an underrated home field advantage in the CIC, or is it's all go?
I feel like I don't know. I feel like for years, Oak Hill has, and I'm, the biasy here, but I always feel like they've been good at home. I know they've lost at home before. They've lost at home the last few years, but it seems like they've been able to sneak wins out at home, and I don't know why that is. I did their game week 1 against Eastern at home, and it was a game that you kind of went in thinking Eastern might blow them out, because you didn't know how good Oak Hill was going to be because they were kind of young. And Oak Hill ended up, beating them like a drum. Wow. And then you have the Eastbrook game. Excuse me. The Eastbrook game later on in the year at home, which proved to be another good home field advantage. And I know they've lost at home in the tournament before, and that was when they were in 3A, and it felt like, they were in 6A because of just the competition. Because it's at this level, at this juncture, you can't really help who you're scheduling, man.
Yep.
Because you got to play all your conference teams. And so when you have to play some teams in your conference that aren't very good. Like, it's unfortunate, but that's just not helping you for when you got to play a team like Hamilton Heights
Exactly.
or a team like Guerin Catholic, like they have the last few years, or Mississinawa even.
Right.
Like I know they're in your conference, but when the last 2 out of the last 3 games on your schedule are against Elwood and Blackford,
Right.
that's just not helping you going into the tournament. And any coach would tell you that. And probably even the Blackford and Elwood coaches would tell you that
for
too.
Sure.
But I think Oak Hill's always had a good home field advantage. Eastbrook, of course,
Yeah.
has been good at home over the last few years, and they just it's just going to be interesting. I don't know that there's one home field advantage that really sticks out. I mean, most of the conference now has turf. Well, I think half of the conference has turf. Oak Hill, Mississinawa, Eastbrook, and Frankton, I know, have it.
Yeah, Madison Grant doesn't. Elwood doesn't.
Blackford doesn't.
Blackford, no.
And Alexandria does. So half the conference has
yep.
turf. And, I don't know about coaches and their preferences on what they like to play on. I prefer, for me as an announcer, calling games on turf because you can see the line markers and where,
right.
and that's not the case for every field. Some fields you know where the ball is and you know where it's marked, but just when it's on turf, it's more clear, it's easier to see.
Yep.
So and I've gotten to the point, a little off subject, but I've gotten to the point where I've stopped watching where they went down, and I look to where the referee runs to on the sideline.
Yep.
I've just stopped looking where they go down. So, and it's easier to tell on turf.
Yep.
I think even officials probably prefer turf
I'm
more.
sure.
So,
We're going to jump forward a few segments, but
okay.
I've got a good one here for you, man.
Okay.
Because there are some non-conference matchups that will test some of the CIC teams early. Who do you think are non-conference teams that we should watch out for?
You're talking in the area
Yeah.
that we should look out for? Oh. It's a tough question to answer. Like, Eastern, I think, is going to be good.
Yeah.
Lapel's going to be decent. They're going to be nice. Western, I think, is going to be decent. And there's one I know I'm forgetting. I think, honestly, a team that probably, when you talk about sleeping on, it's probably a team like Taylor, because they're in kind of a weird area. Like, they're in a weird conference, and they ended up winning their sectional last year. And I think maybe I can't remember I think they played Pioneer in the regional, so they probably didn't have a good opportunity to win their regional, but they surprised some people and won their sectional. And that momentum carries over into another year, because then you win a sectional and you kind of surprise some people by winning it. You probably surprise yourself, and so your expectations change. And so when your expectations change, then your attitude changes.
Yep. For sure.
Towards things. So I think they could be a team to look out for. A team that, if you would ask me that question last year with Eastern, the season for them, I know, didn't go the way they wanted it to go. But I think this year's different. They always have athletes. Like, I don't know how they do it. And those athletes are like football and baseball players. They're not like basketball players. They it's like they skip over basketball season.
Right.
They go from football to baseball back to football. So they've got some good athletes, and they're another one of those teams where it's kind of fun to call their games because they pass a lot too. They're not more the going through the air attack like Alexandria is, but they do throw the ball a decent amount, and I really like their coach. He's a good guy. It's been a tradition kind of for me to hit him up, a week before the game, send him a text, because I've done the Oak Hill Eastern game week 1 for now will be 4 years. I'm doing it again this year, so it becomes a tradition for me to text him once a year, want to know if we can set up an interview or when he can send me his starters and all that kind of stuff. But they won their first ever sectional in school history last year, which is really awesome for a guy like Coach Edwards, who's been there a long time and has gone through the growing pains of having really good teams and having not very good teams and not being able to win anything. And finally, when you least expect it, it happens and you win something, then again, it goes back to your expectations then change. And so when your expectations change, then your mindset kind of changes on what you can do.
Right.
So
What's a sneaky out of conference rivalry that we have with some county teams here that not too many people know about?
in just football?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you know what? If you can't think of somebody in football, hit me with basketball.
I think I can. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I think a sneaky rivalry is probably Eastbrook and Alexandria. I think that they've had some in football, at least they've had some competitive games in the last few years. Like they played in that CIC day there at IWU 2 years ago. They played in the nightcap game, and it was a good game. And then we talked about it earlier last year, coming down in the last few minutes of the game. That was a really good game. And this just reminded me of something. When we were talking about Eastbrook earlier and talk about Bodie Howe, I just want to say this because I don't want it to not get mentioned on here, because I know I'm going to mention it many times in our broadcast throughout the year. And I know I've said it before, is that Jeff Adamson told us one time at our coach's show, I can't remember if he was telling me and Andy or he was telling me and Marky, I don't remember, but he said that when it's all said and done, Bodie Howe will be a top 5 player to ever come through this program.
Wow.
And I mean, that's saying, and this was when he was like a freshman or sophomore,
Yep.
and he was playing a lot. So I think it was when he was a sophomore. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But he was an underclassman then, and I think that shows a lot about Bodie Howe and all that. But I think in terms of that rivalry you're talking about, I think Eastbrook Alexandria is the one that probably comes to my mind. I don't want to say Oak Hill and Frankton for football because they've not had like that many good games.
Mm-hmm.
They had one a couple years ago that was really good, but not that I don't think it was this past year. But there's always going to be good games. Like I feel like the conference isn't bad enough to where there's always bad games. You know what I mean? So, but those would probably be a couple that come to mind.
Toss it over to you, Teddy.
All right. What do you think about week-by-week games? Have you looked at the calendar yet?
A little
What's
bit.
one to circle at? We know Miss Central, Eastbrook.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head without looking at it. I think it's hard. I think it can be hard to predict some of those things because, like, we're sitting at it and looking at it now, and like, oh well, week 5, this team versus this team is going to be a great game. But in week 3, Team A's best player could, break his leg,
Right,
God forbid.
right, yeah,
and
right.
that can change. That can derail your season. It can
Yeah.
derail that being a good game as well. So I think it'd be hard to predict some of those things without having it in front of me. But there's going to be good games every week, and if you listen on our network, there's going to be good games every week. You can you can scroll through and listen to.
Yeah.
And so it's always fun. Like I don't prefer. Like all of our guys have been like, well, why can't we just do the same team all year? Like, dude, like that's no fun. Like it is because you're dealing with the same people, but like,
Right.
it's like after a while, I don't need to see, I don't need to see, and I'm just using this as an example, but I don't need to see Mrs. Central 3 weeks in a row,
Right.
or like I don't need to see Eastbrook 2 games in a row. Probably the max on what I like doing teams for is probably like 2 weeks in a row. After 2 weeks, I'm like, I need give me a week off for them, And it's not bad. It's just you'd prefer to see other things. So,
All right, let's throw out some spicy takes. Then you react. You're going to buy or sell.
okay. Do you want me to say buy or sell when you ask?
You can give your little,
Okay.
give
All right.
your little, tell me why you're buying or selling.
Okay.
strongest arm in the county? Or let's go conference.
The conference, okay. Probably Brady Gast. There at Alexandria.
Alexandria? Okay.
Yeah, he can throw.
So you're gonna
I mean,
buy,
you're
gonna buy that.
I'm gonna buy that because he literally plays in the system where they throw it a lot. So he's gotta have an arm. You would think, right?
Okay. How about the most explosive running back?
That's tough. He's because the one that comes to mind isn't a running back. He's a quarterback, and it's Bodie Howe.
Okay.
But he's not a running back.
Right. Okay.
But he'd probably be the most explosive runner.
Okay.
That's probably I'd probably. That's I think the second one that comes to mind is probably Dylan Archer at Oak Hill because he can turn on the Jets.
Let's go. You can either make it past or present. The most feared tackler.
I don't know. That's tough because you got to think back to who I've seen even in years past. We may have to come back to that one. I may have to think about that one. Because I'd really have to open the vault and it'd take a minute.
You got one you can think of, Conrad?
I'm sure once if you guys said one, I'd be like, yeah.
He's wearing the black and gold this year.
Yeah, Jackson.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean he's probably now that you mention he's probably up there. Because I mean that dude was just 6'5" outside linebacker. What outside linebacker, something like that? He's a linebacker. But he's big. I mean, that's a big dude. That's really big for a school like Mississippi. Have a dude like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. How about this one? I got two more for you.
Okay.
Who's got a big personality on the sideline? They're a showman, whether it's a player or a coach. This can be.
Does it have to be a head coach?
This can be.
It can be whatever you want, man.
In terms of coaches, I really like watching Shane Edwards on the sideline at Oak Hill.
Okay, yeah.
And if you've ever seen an Oak Hill game, you can't miss him. Him, and I'm saying these guys because like I've been more in tune with them probably.
Right.
Him and a guy at Oak Hill named David Brown, who's on the staff. Probably the most two that were like hilarious, especially Coach Edwards on the sideline. Even like because he's the baseball coach, so even watching him during baseball games, it sometimes crack you up because he's
electric, man.
He's so that's a good way of putting it.
Like a ball of energy.
I don't know how to word it without it sounding like I'm crapping on him, but he's kind of like a squirrel, you know what I mean? Like he's just all over the place.
Yep.
He's got a lot, like you said, he's got a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. And when you have coaches that are like him and they have a lot of energy, those are often players' favorite coaches.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because they really jack you up and they really can motivate you. He probably's got the most energy I've seen. And then there is another dude. I really like watching, especially in those close games like with Eastbrook. I can sometimes pay attention to these things with Coach Adamson and just how they handle certain moments. Like they handle certain things like in the it's crazy to say this, but in the agony of defeat, how they handle things, and with the kind of the empowerment of winning, how do they handle it? How do they handle themselves? And so I think Jeff Adamson and Bud Osmond probably be the two that like always know how to keep their cool. I've seen Coach Osmond get mad. I mean, I've seen Coach Adamson get mad, but at the end of the game, I've seen Oak Hill lose in heartbreaking games. I've seen Eastbrook lose in heartbreaking games. And when the game's over, you still walk over and you shake hands and that kind of stuff. So I would say those two guys I probably paid attention to in terms of not really their energy, but just on how they handle different situations.
Okay.
Are probably those two dudes I paid attention to. Another guy that can be electric on the sideline is Coach Turner, I think,
Okay.
at Madison
Yep.
Grant. I think he gets after it
Yep.
when something good happens.
Uh-huh.
So I try and pay attention to all of them. I really liked Coach Burrish's energy on the sideline. I hate that he's gone, and I hate that we won't get to see him as much. They play Marion, but I won't be doing the game. But I just hate to see, you know, someone like him who's such a great guy move on to bigger things. And it's a step up for him in that program.
Right.
I mean, the dude lives in Muncie. I mean, he lives 5 minutes from Muncie Central.
Yep.
It makes sense, but I hate to see a guy like him gone because
Right.
just how he treated the media and how he treated his players, how he treated his fan base, those kind of things. I think,
Class.
yeah, they have class. I think
For sure.
those really make me have good opinions on people and coaches, those kind of stuff, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got one more, and then Conrad's going to close it out.
Okay.
Anybody we should be watching this year that could be playing on Saturdays in 2026?
Oh.
Let's say big time Saturday.
It's tough because of the area we're in.
True.
You know, it's not that we have bad players here. It's just we're in an area that just doesn't get exposure, and that's unfortunate because there are a lot of great football players here. There are a lot of great kids in and around the county that that will go on and be great NAIA players, like at a school like IWU or Taylor or Marion. And it's unfortunate that we don't have very many of those Division I kids. Honestly, I can't think of one kid in our county that is Division I caliber. Now, I know we said Bodie Howell's good, but like Alabama and Georgia, and he'll
Right.
tell you this too, they're not knocking on the door.
Exactly.
You know, but you're going to see him on Saturdays
Yep.
in 2026. You're going to see, especially someone like him, and I think you'll see him at, you know, hopefully a school like Indiana Wesleyan that can get him in a good system and get him to thrive.
Right.
So, those kind of kids that are from small schools and then make the leap somehow to bigger schools, like a guy like Jack Kaiser, who was at Notre Dame or who was at Pioneer and won Mr. Football at Pioneer, a 1A school, and he went to Notre Dame. And now he's in the NFL. I mean, this is a guy from tiny little Pioneer. I mean,
Yep.
smaller than Madison Grant.
Right. Yep.
And he went to Notre Dame, and he had a great career at Notre Dame, and took him to and helped him, you know, helped lead him to a national championship or a national championship appearance. And those kind of kids like that around here are honestly just really rare.
Right,
And
for
it
sure.
just it's just hard for those kids to get that big time exposure. And when they do, it's one in, you know, it's kind of one in a million.
Right.
It's just
Yep.
it's just not very rare. It's just not very what's the word I'm looking for?
It's not common. So
It's not common.
Yeah. It's
It's just not common. But that's, you know, like I said, that's not to say that there's not kids around here that won't be playing on Saturdays, just
yeah.
maybe at a smaller level.
yeah. I'm sure there'll be numerous ones playing small college ball.
Absolutely.
This Gridiron Gauntlet segment is brought to you by Nicholson Realty 2.0. Grant, I've got 4 questions here for you. I
Okay.
need short answers.
Okay.
Real quick. If you could borrow the voice of any commentator, past or present, for one game, who are you taking?
Iron Eagle. I try and even practice like Iron Eagle.
All right. If Teddy here became a mascot, which CIC school adopts him?
Oh, Mississinawa.
You're right. I think they'd be first in line.
I don't think there's any other option.
Yeah. You've got to coach one Grant County team for one game. Who are you taking? Who are you rolling with?
Oh.
One game, you can go out undefeated.
Can I pick which game? I'm just kidding. I'll stay at home and I'll say Oak Hill.
Okay.
I mean, Coach O probably would never hand me a headset and have me on his sideline for 1 second ever. But if we're talking hypothetically, then yeah, it'd be Oak Hill.
You've got 1 hour to train a high school kid to become the next great voice of Indiana football. What's the first thing you teach them that has nothing to do with the microphone?
The preparation that goes into it, I think, is probably the right answer there. And
All
that
right.
It takes, preparation goes a lot into how you call the game, and a lot of the notes that you make you don't even use for your broadcast, but it's almost like preparing for a test. And so I prep a lot. The guy that I've worked with, Kevin Helfrich, especially for football, he preps a lot. We almost kind of have like a production meeting the day before, and we go over stuff and talk about what we're going to talk about, and okay, what do you have for this? What do you have on this? And a lot of the times he'll come up with stuff. I'm like, dude, like, how'd you even get that? like I wasn't even looking for that.
Yeah.
So that'd probably be the one thing I'd teach someone is, study your rosters too.
Yeah.
Know who these dudes are before you turn the microphone up and start giving a play-by-play. Is that after a while you start to know,
Right.
and like I've kind of trained myself quickly that if I don't know, I can look on the roster and find it real quick. So knowing who players are, and then the preparation that goes into it. Use John Harrell, use Max Preps, use those stats, look stuff up that maybe you didn't know before. I mean, we have the internet, and it's a free country, and we have free will for a reason for those kind of things. And so look that kind of stuff up. That'd probably be the one thing I'd tell them.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, Grant Shouse, Action Sports Network, and soon to be heard on
Central Indiana Sports Report.
All right.
Let me redo that. Let me redo that because I got something else to say.
Let them know where we can find you.
Yeah, you can listen. The Action Sports Network. We'll be starting doing, I think, at least volleyball the week of the first high school football game, which is on the 22nd.
22nd,
The
yep.
22nd. It'll be, I think our first broadcast is either Tuesday or Wednesday of that week for volleyball. And we'll be going strong until probably mid-June of 2026. So it's going to be fun. We're going to have wall-to-wall action of football all week. And then every week I do the IU report on the Central Indiana Sports Report with Greg Mengelt. And maybe not every week, but starting up here in a few weeks when like football really gets going, then we'll have one every week. We'll have reactions to all the games, all the IU football games, and anything else that you might want to hear. So you have that, and then, of course, shousehoops.com as well during the basketball season. Check some stuff out on there.
Heck yeah, we love it, man. Thanks for coming back.
Thanks, Grant.
Thanks, guys.
Great
I
job.
appreciate it.